up, Hero Stock Nation?
I won't let you in. I wanna carry the load. My hands are full of silence. My heart's a heavy road. I've been walking with shadows, talking low with ghosts. Try to hold it together, trying to be the most for you, for them, for me. I've been holding back to see things I don't want you to feel, I don't want you to see. I'm still trying to breathe. If I fall, it's completely for you, for them, for me. I keep the lights on late, so I don't sit in the dark. I cover up the questions with a warning weathered heart. I've been fighting with stillness in a war that no one knows. Trying to be the shelter when I'm barely holding on for you, for them, for me, for you, for them, for me, for you, for them, for me. I've been holding back to see, and I'm still trying to breathe. Things I don't want you to feel, things I don't want you to see. If I fall, it's completely for you, for them, for me. Them, me.
What's up, Heroes Talk Nation? I'm Tom Lamog. Welcome to the round table where heroes talk. Let me bring in my co-host, Matt Jones. Now, here's what you should know about tonight's guest. Now, he has been on a couple of interviews with me already on the other program, Song Sung True, A Veteran's View, over the last couple of years. Our guest has got a couple of albums out. As far as I know, he's got a couple of albums out, close to 20 songs that he's written based on his experiences in and out of the Army. And of course, he's out there performing live. Not only has he performed as the main act with his band, the 105s, but also opening acts for other artists in the Colorado Springs area. And at the heart of all of this, I think what I was left with Tim Meegan Jr., who he's going to bring on in just a second here, are the stories of him serving during Operation Iraqi Freedom, told through the music off his first album, Cook County Country. Haunting, vivid, brings back the memories that he experienced in ways that I, as a civilian, have no experience of fighting wars, was impacted tremendously. And it was just one of the albums that I do have in rotation quite frequently, and I can't wait for him to share some stories about that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know music has got a way of just kind of connecting us to those things that we've experienced in life. And, we have the ability to shape it and to, put it out there for other people to listen to. And so, I mean, you've talked about this guy almost, I don't want to say almost every time that me and you have been talking with each other, like, Matt, you got to meet this guy. I'm super excited. So I'm digging the music. I think we should bring him on and just jump right into it.
So today we're featuring Tim Meegan Jr. He's a singer-songwriter who grew up in the South Side of Chicago, and he went on to serve for 4 years in the U.S. Army during the Iraq War. A husband, a father, full-time firefighter, 15 plus years. Tim is also a Memphis recording artist. His band, the 105s, is based in Colorado Springs. Their music, a soulful blend of rock, folk, alternative country shaped by real-life experiences of war veterans, firefighters, blue-collar workers, and also echoes the spirit and sound of John Prine, Towns Van Zandt, Johnny Cash, and J.J. Cale. And if you go to Tim's website, searching for music that's genuine, heartfelt, and rooted in truth, hey, look no further. You're in the right place. And I can't wait for you to hear the stories. Let me bring Tim on. Hey, Tim, welcome to the round table. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Third time's a charm. I'm telling you, man. We've had a couple of really good interviews previous, and let me just kind of go back to when I first met you. This was October 2023, and you had joined me for episode 5 of Song Sung True, A Veteran's View. And I remember hearing about you and your music, and I thought, okay, let me, new podcast. Let me just go ahead and bring him on. And since then, all right, I have to say this. One of the lasting impressions, and just as I was telling Matt, your stories of serving, putting it to music, and sharing it even just acoustically live. It was very, very memorable for me. A few months later, June 2024, you came up and you were preparing for the Memphis sessions, and I know we're going to talk about that. Race Against Time is the album. And you were preparing for that. And then here we are, December 2025. And I remember you saying that you were getting ready to head back into the recording studio, back to Memphis with some new material. I'm hoping we can touch on all of that in the hour that we have. It's been quite the journey, hasn't it?
It's been a ride. It's humbling.
Hey, you know what? Since we are here at the Hero Stock Nation podcast here, you've got a whole new audience to introduce yourself to.
Yeah, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. Moved around a lot in that particular area between Chicago and the Chicago Southland suburbs. But it's all, if you go there, like everyone that lives there, it's all kind of the same place. So just moved around between different apartments, trailer parks, and then finally finding a house right after I started high school, and then ended up joining the Army, and went away, and I never came back, honestly, other than to visit family. So
you went on to the military, the U.S. Army, and then I know that from some of the interview notes that I took the last time around, 4 years. And what would you like to share about your military experience that our Hero Stock Nation listeners might be interested in hearing?
I think the biggest thing is that I served in Ramadi, Iraq between 2004 and 2005, which was that time. It became a major hotspot in the war at that time. And I was just an artillery guy. Like I shot cannons, like that's what I went into it for. And basically got thrown to the streets for about 8 months, where I was kicking indoors, patrolling streets, Humvees, whatever, doing that whole thing. So I'm never claiming to be anything I'm not, but like it was such a violent place at a violent time that we got in the mix more than I think I ever thought it would happen. I guess you never know how it's going to happen, but like it happened to us.
Veteran in the civilian world, I know that guitar was one of the things that became of interest to you. Can you talk a little bit about, how you ended up with picking up a guitar?
So yeah, like I said, right before COVID, I found out I had remaining GI Bill years left. It wasn't much time, but it was enough to like, oh, let me see what I could do with it. And the things I wanted to do, I was looking into carpentry, I was looking into welding. Just wasn't going to work out with my schedule being a firefighter. And I've always loved music. I love storytelling. Like it was just, I've heard people say I can kind of sound like Johnny Cash a little bit. So I was like, well, what about a guitar lesson? So I was able to start doing that right before COVID hit, and then I learned a little bit, but not much, when it was done. And then COVID hit, and I found out my brother went to jail, and I wrote my first song off of him going to jail. And it's the only song I've ever written that's not completely true. It was just this story of a guy getting out of jail because I believe my brother's innocent. So it kind of fell into certain hands after playing it a few times to people. They're like, hey, man, someone told me like it sounds like Towns Van Zandt, who was a hero of mine. So great honor to me to hear something like that. And they were the ones that eventually pushed me forward and said, write more, just keep writing. So I just kind of kept going.
Yeah, an
The
album's
few
for.
chords that I know. So
Oh, well, is that true when you record it? We'll go on to the first album. That's your first album, right? Cook County Country.
that was my first album, yes.
So, about how much time had passed from the time that you had written that first song and then got the encouragement of others you need to write more? How much time had passed?
It ended up being about a year, I would say, because once they heard that first song, they were like, that should be recorded. I was like, okay. And they're like, do you have any more songs? I was like, no, I don't. I have that one. They're like, write more. They were coming from Louisiana. And so they're like, well, write more. We'll come and record it with you. So I'd written two or three in the time where they came. And then over about a span of a year, we had done the 10 songs that would eventually become that album.
A year.
Just recorded in my house of, hey, I wrote the song, and we just turned it into something.
Now, let me ask you about the content of the songs that are on the album. When you were writing these, did you have something in mind in the way of like a story to tell or an audience that you wanted to kind of target this music towards? Did you have something in mind?
Not at all. I think I channeled the artists that I really, really like. I love John Prine. I love Towns Van Zandt. And I think it was more therapeutic for me to just write about my past, I guess. My brother is the one that hit me after I'd written a few songs. Um, I felt like an imposter, to be honest with you. And I was sending it to him because I felt like he was one of the few people that actually wanted to listen to me. But I was writing about our life, it was his life too, other than the military side of it. But like, and he said something to me that like it just burns in my mind, and it did that day, and like I've continued since. He was just like, "You have the stories, tell them," and it was just like, wow, I do. Like I'm not a 21-year-old making up stories. I'm at that time upper 30s person telling the stories that I've actually lived. Never intentional by any means.
So the songs on Cook County Country, there are 11 of them. And when but I think before thought about interviewing, I thought I better get familiar with the material that's on that album itself. And when I listen to things like Return Fire, right? For someone who's never seen war like you have, that was an eye opener. Return, it just the feeling within the song, the mood that was set, the words themselves. There's also April 16th, 2005, and maybe you can talk a little bit about the message within that particular song.
That's the one that covers the most basis out of it all.
Rather than me talking through the rest of these songs, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with us, and then we'll come back after you finish and we can talk a little bit more about the story behind it.
Sure. Nights I wake up in my bed, all these memories living in my head. Guess the whiskey only helped for a while. Now I'm drinking, feel I'm about to die. 'Cause you can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Losing a friend you'll never see again. Weight of a trigger underneath my finger. Can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Bad days coming, bad days go. Someday my kids won't know why the daddy needs to be alone. 'Cause I'm feeling living that goddamn war. 'Cause you can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Losing a friend you'll never see again. Weight of a trigger underneath my finger. Can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Now let me tell you why. October of 2004, I saw 3 of my friends die. October 6th, 12th, and the 29th. Then on April 16th, 2005, 3 more died in just one night. One more gone after we got home. See, he just couldn't take the pain anymore. It was 1 year, Ramadi Iraq. I'm seeing, feeling that we were never coming back. Go to war, not think about it anymore. Losing a friend you'll never see again. Weight of a trigger underneath my finger. Can't go to war, not think about it anymore.
So the album Cook County Country, Tim, I mean, I picked up on a number of experiences and the songs that you had written of serving. Was this an experience that was cathartic for you?
Yeah, 100%. Just because, I don't know what people go through. I only know what I went through when I came back, and it was this realization that not a lot of people go through that. Like the handful of people that serve at that time, yeah, like some of us got thrown into that, but like the majority of people don't. Even a lot of people that serve don't. And for me, like my wife didn't believe it, my family didn't believe it until they started meeting my friends and the guys that they're injured but are still alive. Like, and then it came to the point where like they're asking me questions like, "What happened to you over there?" And so for me, yeah, just very therapeutic to write about that because that's the truth. I'm not hiding behind it. I'm telling people, it's not all Fourth of July and like wave the American flag. Like trust me, I am that guy, but like it comes at a cost.
So I'm just curious, have you played it for, friends who have not served in the
Oh
military?
yeah,
And
yeah.
their response, is it is it what you expected from them?
I'll get occasional, a veteran, that will come up for sure. I think the biggest response has been, initially when I wrote it, it was my wife, it was my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, people that like did not know me before I was in the military. Even my mom, like I didn't tell her anything. Like after you come back, I didn't tell her anything. Like you don't tell any of your family. I didn't tell any of my brothers, my sisters. Like no one knew that other than my family saw a change in me, and they couldn't pinpoint it other than like they could say, "Oh, he went to war," but there was no story behind it because I wouldn't talk about it. My wife knew me as is. My in-laws knew me as is. But then, like I have good friends that, I serve with that came back and they're either missing a leg or, they're burned or something like that, or they're missing an eye. Like when they come around, like I have, like my wife was like, "What happened?" She started asking questions. And so I kind of became an open book at that point. So the biggest response has been my family, I would say. Like, and I think being able to tell that story, I hope that it gets to other families who are like, "Hey, maybe that's my brother," or like maybe that's my uncle, maybe that's my dad, or my mom, or like whatever it is. Like they find a home for like maybe, oh, that explains why they came back changed.
Thank you for sharing that story and for the song as well too. It really encapsulates my feeling about the album itself and what's in it. And to this day, it is an album that I will just recommend to friends for sure. That was in my mind. And I think when we interviewed the first time around, um, I had compared you to some of my favorite songwriters from when I was growing up in the 70s, some of the songwriters. And it's just for a home recorded album, my friend. And I know let's go on to the next
Thank you.
album. All right, Race Against Time. And I know that you carried over some of the songs to the new album as well too. But before we get to that, maybe you can kind of set up what was going on when you decided that I got more and I want a band. Maybe you can kind of move us forward in time and let us know, what the thoughts were in getting ready to record a new album.
Like it was, we were just playing the local shows, doing what I think most bands do or most musicians do, playing in bars, playing in breweries, like wherever we could find a spot to play. And, it was a lot of covers, but at the same time, I was doing my original stuff. And I kind of had a group together. And then, some things happened. It just didn't work out with them, and I was kind of back to the drawing board, but I couldn't shut off my mind in the stories that I was trying to write. And, one of the guys that was with me in that original part of it, it was like, well, let's keep going and figure it out. And so he knew a guitarist, and then he came in, and then we had a drummer, the mutual friend that just came in, and like they believed. I don't know, or like playing and like just getting together and playing, and just, all right, well, this guy's coming over tonight, okay, and just kept doing it, and then it just turned into like, well, what are we doing? Like, we're not sitting here practicing Leonard Skinner covers or Johnny Cash covers. Like, we're singing the stuff I wrote, and it's like, well, what do we do? And it turned into, I want to go record. And in my mind, I wanted to go to Memphis. Like, that was where I wanted to do it at. So,
I thought I read in your bio that the band consists primarily of veterans. Am I close?
well, it's a combination.
Oh, okay.
My bassist is a veteran of the Gulf War. My drummer is a firefighter, and I'm one of both. So yeah, that's as far. And then our pedal steel player is in the Air Force Band.
Nice. And this is really the formation of the 105s. This group of individuals we're talking about.
Correct, and we also have a guitarist too. That's a big part of our band. Yeah, he fell into it at the same time, and yeah, we're all still pretty much a core group. And we added a keyboardist, a piano player that's coming to Memphis with us.
In terms of the songwriting process itself, is this something that you opened up the band to, or is this for this new album that you were working on? Was this collaborative, or was this something that you were doing primarily on your own?
No, it kind of all happened the same way. I just kind of write the songs acoustically and then
Hmm.
bring it to them, and they all do their magic. They all have their own parts they add, and that's the beauty behind it. Like, we all pull from different backgrounds of songs we like, and obviously there's gray areas where, like, oh yeah, I know that artist, and we like it, but then we could all each bring in an artist that we're pulling from that none of us have ever heard of either. And
That's the joy of making music. You just, there are no rules, really.
there's no rules, no, and I hate when there is rules. Like that is
Yeah.
immediate shutdown for me. Like, well, the rule is this. Like, nah,
I think that's called music theory.
it's gotta go.
Well, in terms of the songwriting itself, I'm sensing that it was, the messaging within your stories was quite different from the first album.
Yeah, I feel like the first album was a lot of just therapy, just writing about my past. I felt like the second album had a little bit to do with my current life, with what I was facing, with some of the songs that we've evolved naturally live, and we're like, wow, that changed in the moment, and so we liked the energy of it, so we brought it over. There's 3 songs we brought over from the first album into the second one.
Mhm. Comparing it to the original recording, these remakes that you did from the first album, is it how you envisioned it to sound?
No, not originally. No, but that's the beauty of the
Yeah.
band that we're in, and why I love these guys, and why it's been so like fun to get together. Like, it just changed in the moment. It was never planned,
Hmm.
really. It just happened live, and I think that's the beauty that comes to happen when you're playing live with a band. That, like, sometimes it just happens and you don't even plan on it, but you roll with it, right? That's how you learn to do things live. That, like, oh, someone's doing something different, like, okay, the drummer's playing just a little bit faster, the lead guitarist is doing something different, and I'm just the guy on the acoustic guitar singing, and I'm like, I got to sing this faster because the changes are coming around way quicker, and like, it just, some songs evolved, and to the point where we felt like it's a completely different song. Lyrically, it's the same song.
Right.
Structurally, it's the same song, but speed, is different. The different licks you add, different drum, like just some things change to where it sounds like a different song. And so we picked three of them to carry over.
One question that comes to mind, um, you had mentioned you're writing about, things that you had experienced in your past. Um, do you notice that kind of some more of the initial beginning music is much more haunting, much more kind of down there in that foxhole kind of vibe, as opposed to the stuff that you're writing now?
I would say yes. I really touched a lot on my military experience, like what it was like to go through that and then to come home to that and not be able to talk to anybody about it. You know,
Yeah,
to find a way to tell people about that story, to tell my family, like this is something I hope lives on forever, that my kids one day will like wonder, like, I want to know this about my dad, because it's not something I sit down with them and tell them everything about. But, I have a friend that shows up, that's missing a limb or, burned, like I said before, like they ask questions, and it's just, yeah. So I wrote a lot about that. And I wrote a lot about childhood, where I was from, because I think as a songwriter, I'm late into the game. I just started, from the very beginnings, and it's just sort of just keeps developing and to
yeah,
what I'm writing about.
yeah.
But
I'm right
yes,
there with you. I'm right
yeah,
there with you. Um, so
well put, foxhole, right there.
yeah, right there. I mean, down there in the mud and the muck,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. Um, but what I've noticed is that like I started writing music, just as something for myself, and music kind of took a different shape for me, and it was hard to see, when music's always just been music. It's been a constant in your life, but I was able to see that music could be used not only for my own personal healing, but to help reach out to others and connect with others. Are you noticing kind of that? I want to say almost like a broader range. Um, like, are you capturing the audience of people who are outside of the military or first responders who are really saying, "Wow, like this impacts me too."
yeah, 100%. So I think like it definitely bled over into our second album, where like I tried to write a little bit broader, and not I'm still writing about the same stuff, but I'm not being specific about it. And then this third album that's coming out, yeah, I have a lot of songs on there that I feel like, for me, I'm going into the military mindset of like I live that and this is my experience. But in reality, I think it's going to touch on a broader basis. Like, hey, this is just being a dad or a husband. Being a good dad, being a good husband, and the battle of being that. You know, yeah. So yes, it has expanded. I haven't been very specific the way I was like doing April 16th. Like that's very specific to me and my battery in Iraq, and my songwriting now. I think I hope it touches on a bigger realm, even though
Yeah.
it still falls into that same area. But it's yeah. I hope it touches more people. You
The
know.
other question I had is when you're playing your very beginner stuff, that's really kind of the darker topics, and those kind of things that we experience that kind of bring us back to that moment and put us in a place where we start feeling those feelings again. Do you find it hard to build a set list and include those types of songs in a set list?
I do. I wait for special moments to bring them back out because I don't play them all that much anymore. I had a great weekend in April where I opened up for Jason Eady for 2 weekends in a row, and he's been a hero of mine. And like one of his songs inspired me to write one of the songs I like wrote really deeply about what it was like to come home. And so like I used that song in that moment, to say, hey, like I wouldn't have written the song had I not listened to one of his songs. So yeah, I don't bring it out that much anymore. I try to read the room. I try to read what's going on or where I'm playing to bring them back out. But no, they don't come out that often.
So, hey, Tim, you have been to Memphis in the recording studio dealing with professionals who have probably worked with some, well-known individuals. Can you talk us through a typical day in the recording studio when you were there last?
We'd usually show up. I think 10 o'clock was our start time. So for us, it was not the whole rock and roll experience. We're just drinking and doing stuff. It was business. It really was. Usually you'd spend I'd say about 2 hours trying to capture the tempo of the song, like where it kind of fits. And then we record it live with the drummer, the bassist, me, and our guitarist at the time. And then you kind of backtrack a little bit, and so once you have the drums down, you have the bass down, like that's kind of the foundation of the song. And you had our guitarist, like he's so good that like he'll be he's right there in the pocket too. And then at that point, the next like couple hours is I'll go back on and do my acoustic side of it, and then I'll do my vocals, and then I'll do maybe we hear another guitar part, so my guitarist will come in, and you just start adding these different layers into it. So it's like a semi-live recording, but each song I would say it's in that 3.5 hour pocket. Some you nail, some take longer than others.
There was I think it was the producer who may have said, it's missing something. And I need there's a musician I have in mind that can fill that gap. I'm trying to, I want to say that was someone in Memphis, that it was a musician who he called out of the blue and brought right in. Does that sound familiar?
Well, yeah, we were hearing at that time we didn't have a piano player or a keys player, and so it's like, well, I hear an organ on these. I think it was like 6 songs that we used, and so he's like, do you want to do it? And we're like, well, yeah, someone, and he said, yeah, we do. And he was like, you ever heard of the band Lucero? And like me and my bassist looked at each other like, that's one of our favorite bands. And it was like, yeah, we've heard, like, we try to play cool, we've heard of them. He's like, so you guys know who Rick Steff is? And we're like, yeah, we know who Rick Steff is. Deep down, we're just like, okay. Oh my God, is Rick Steff coming here? Like just absolutely excited out of our minds. And so he makes a phone call, and he's like, hey, Rick Steff is available tonight. He'll come in, and add the keys part in whichever way we want it. And we're like, oh, cool, and like deep down, we're just like screaming in excitement, like that we're recording with one of our heroes right now.
See what happens when you get involved with music. You never know where it takes you or who you're going to meet.
Yeah, one of the coolest dudes, one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet, too, by the way.
Did it ever come to the point where it was like, okay, we're acting cool now? Like, yeah, we heard of them. To like where it's like you don't act cool, you're actually ecstatic about it.
No, we didn't, because I didn't want to scare him.
Just stone faced.
It was wild. Like at one point, he was just like, like he'd listen to the music, and he'd like you could see in his head he was developing it. And they'd stop, and he'd just kind of talk to us. He's like, oh man, we're gonna go play Alaska. You guys ever played Alaska? And we're like, no, like not yet. We're trying to play it cool, like we're bigger than we are, and know we're nobodies. But in his mind, like I don't know, like he felt like we could have been that, And it's like that's cool to think, but no, never got ecstatic. I wanted to, but you don't want to scare the guy away.
Yeah, that moment you get home and you're like,
yeah,
oh,
exactly.
Yeah, we got home. Yeah, there was definitely some. We popped some beers, and we're like,
yeah.
Oh my God, we just recorded with Rick Steff. It was cool.
Oh my gosh, there was one other perk to that album, and unfortunately I missed it. But it was your CD release concert, I think is what that was. It looked exciting. I mean, you invited a whole bunch of people. You got to perform at a major venue, I think, out there in Colorado Springs.
Yep.
And What was that experience like? For those of you who have not been to a CD release party, you have to write, record, perform, and then get invited, or maybe you have to go ahead and say, hey, I want to go to a CD release party together and then do it. So,
We were part of like 4 bands that played that night, and we played earlier in the day, which we were excited about because we had over 200 people that came out to see us that day, and so like we played the album and that was it, and then we went out and hung out with them. Like it was, and for a lot of them that came, they'd seen us in the bar, or maybe they hadn't seen us at all. Like some of my family came out and they're like, what is going on? Like they thought they were going to a brewery to see me, and like oh no, like they're in the green room and they're like this is the venue. There had been over 500 people there at the show to play with between the 4 bands, and I counted the amount of tickets we had sold and the people I met. It was over 200. I felt like I was back at my wedding after I got married, where like you couldn't make it around to say hi to everybody, and everyone's trying to buy you a drink, and you're trying to see everyone that came just to say thank you.
mhm.
It was wild. It was one of the greatest nights of my life, to be honest with you. It was something I never thought I would ever do, and there I was.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I know you had been promoting it, and I thought, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll just, after this next album, dude, I'll have to look at my calendar and make plans for that one. Is there a song you can share with us right now from that album that you want to kind of play for us?
Yeah, I'll touch on this one. It's probably my favorite one off the album, and for me, it kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. Just it is military based, but it's about. I think the reason my wife loves me is because I am crazy a little bit, and it's just my way of saying I'm sorry to you for that. But I think that's why she kind of loves me. So. I know, so I show you everything, yeah, everything. My scars, my heart, and all my pain, yeah, all my pain. Try to keep going crazy, when all I want is to be sane. What I think is maybe crazy is just who I am. I feel my needs will pull you overboard, yeah, overboard. So you'll go your own if you can't take no more. No, you can't take no more. 'Cause I tried to keep going crazy, and all I want is to be sane. What I think is maybe crazy is just who I am. I try tried to keep from going crazy. And all I wanted was to be sane. What I think is maybe crazy's just who I am.
So was Michelle the first person you played it for?
Ooh,
Psst, the answer is
not,
yes.
no, not completely. My daughter, I had the riff down.
Uh-huh.
My daughter walked by me. I was playing, and she was just like, "I like that, Dad." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "What?" She's like, "It just sounds good." So I was like, "Well, I guess I better finish it." So I'd say she's kind of the first one to heard just the little parts, and then yeah, once I finished it, it was just just all my antics, all the things I do. You know, I'm
Mhm.
crazy by most regards. You know, a lesser woman probably would have left me by now, but my wife has hung by my side. So
Man, I want to know, was it one of the first songs to really be pushed out there to the world? Was that the song that was the first one off the album, or
that one was,
catchy?
yeah,
I'm
it
telling you,
was.
man. Yeah, and I thought you had posted it.
Not the most popular, but like, yeah, we thought that one would be the one because
Mm.
like yeah,
Popular. Are you getting airplay? Are you getting like coverage from the local stations or internet radio or anything?
nothing locally, internet radio. Like we'll pop up different get some stuff in Colorado, nowhere around here. So I don't know how they picked up on us, but yeah, there's a couple mountain towns that will play a few songs. The one I wrote about my brother. We've gotten a handful in Italy. That was an odd one for us. That like can't believe they're listening to us over there. A few in Ireland, like Great Britain. Like yeah, there's a handful that's radio play, but Spotify is where you're kind of looking right now these
Yeah.
days.
Is that where we can find your music?
Oh yeah,
Spotify? Is it also on like Apple and Amazon and
Apple, Amazon. I think Deezer's another one. YouTube. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know them all, but
I know you got a website
yes,
and www.timmeeganjr.com.
TimMeeganJr.com. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I thought that was it. Okay. I've got one more question for you, and I know Matt's gonna have a few more, but can we talk about I want to say Camp Southern Ground, specifically Warrior Path, because I think one of the last things I remember us talking about was you saying you were going and me saying, "Hey, I think I know a couple of the instructors or coaches or whatever." And I see that you were in the same picture with the very people that I had mentioned. How was that? First of all, what is it, and how can you maybe talk about some of the highlights, your experiences with that?
Camp Southern Ground is like a boot camp for singer songwriters, but you got to be a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, is what I understand the criteria is. And yeah, they bring you in for 4 days and bring in all these industry professionals, people that they're doing it. They're either songwriting or they're producers or they're in the marketing side of it or they're in the vocal lessons, and they just it's a 4 day boot camp to being a songwriter, but geared towards veterans. And they do it for about, I don't know, 14, 15 people once a year. And so I was very fortunate enough to go down there in Atlanta
Mhm.
and do it. And it's put on by Zach Brown of Zach Brown Band. It's on his property and he brings in the people, and yeah, I just got to meet so many great veterans that are songwriters. One spouse of a veteran songwriter. Um, yeah, just had a great time, sharing that moment with them. They, yeah, they brought in all these industry professionals that just teaching you stuff and helping you move this career forward.
Any takeaways? Were you able to create anything from that event?
Yeah, I mean, I take away from everything I do. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It could be pity to some people, but like I take away those moments. I realize that being a songwriter, like I'm watching, observing everybody around me, you know. But as far as that goes, yeah, it was great. I realized like I want to be a songwriter. I do. I just, some of the people they brought in were more very. Basically, the feedback I got, they're like, "You're the only one that can do that. That could sing that song."
Mm.
So whether it's my voice and what I was writing about, I wasn't writing the I always say pickup trucks and solo cups, sort of music, that, and I don't have the voice that quite fits in with what is pop country by any means. And
There's a
so
lot. There's plenty
my,
of
my
that out there right now. I
yeah,
can.
my takeaway was that I'm okay with that. That's not why I'm doing it at all. I'm writing this
Yeah, that was
for ultimately I'm writing this for myself, and then if it gets to somebody else, I hope it does, because I am writing about a lot of other people. Um,
I think that's what's awesome about that. When they say that you're the only one that could sing that, or you're the only one that could perform that, really kind of speaks to the uniqueness that is your music and your writing style. So, I mean, with that, I mean, I have a question right here. Can you kind of describe to us what your writing style looks like? Like, how does that process take place? Is it the lyrics first? Is it the music? And which one's easiest?
it goes both ways for me. I've never had. I wish I had one way that I did it, but I don't. Um, I've had times where like I'm sitting there and like the song I just did. I had a this. I sat there with this. And I kept doing that over and over, and like I don't know what I was saying at all. I was just like, all of a sudden I was just like, I know, so I'll show you everything. And that's all I had. And my daughter
Yeah.
walked by me and was just like, Dad, I like that. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'm on to
Now,
something.
do you ever do so? Like you were saying, you were just strumming that kind of over and over, and you didn't know you were saying. Were you kind of humming along, trying to develop this kind of lyrical melody to go with it,
Yeah,
and
there's
then it
always
turns
something
into
there.
words?
Yeah, I think there's something always there. You're trying to find like what would fit, what words would fit, right? Like what fits in that realm that you're doing right there. And so yeah, I've done it that way. And there's times, man, I sat there, and one of my other favorite songs off the album that's doing pretty well right now, like I wrote that as a poem while I was sitting at my son's practice. Like when I was thinking about the music business and everything I had to do, and he's just practicing. And so I wrote it as a poem, and I didn't have any music behind it. And then I went home and just I found a way to put the music to it. So I do it both ways. Like there's never one way that I actually do it. I just I just know that I've learned to never pass up the moment to write something down that you're thinking. If I have a dream and I wake up and I'm like, I'll remember that, I'll forget it if I don't write it down. So I'll wake up and I'll write it down, and I'll just try to like capture whatever I'm trying to say in the moment.
I imagine you have a lot of voice recordings on your phone as well, of just kind of
Well, yeah, I'll be in the car,
yeah,
like you'll hear another song. You'll hear another song that like you could take the same words and try to figure out a way to say it differently, and it's like, well, that's the start of a song, right? We're all doing that. We're all taking a melody or or something like that. Where we're all stealing from somebody. Like that's the honest truth. But you try to make it your own. So yeah, tons of
Yeah,
push
there's only
pull.
so much you can do. There's only so much
Definitely.
you can do with those musical notes. So kind of how you like refine it into something unique and something you.
And what makes it different is your voice, right? It's your voice or your story. Like I write about war, I write about being in Chicago or whatever like that, or my story being a dad. Like I try to write that. I don't try to write something that I don't live, I guess.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you know what? We're coming up on God closing time. I think Tim. I think I just want to say how wonderful it is to catch up with you. It's our third interview in what 2 years, and in that time, what I'm seeing is someone who started off with a homegrown set of songs, an album that was recorded at home, has matured through this process of, not only writing lyrics that are outside what we've heard before, something fresh and new, but also bringing in more musicians. That may require some type of leadership for sure to go ahead and motivate your band members and then get into the recording studio. You're traveling across country to get this done and working with professionals on a business level. I mean, look at you. A couple years later, here you are. You really are in prime time, it seems.
Trying. I, I'd like to get paid like I am, but I'm trying.
We'll keep it up. Hang in there. All right. Well, coming up next at the round table where Heroes Talk, it's December and we're talking to some of Hero Stock's sponsors and vendors. It's Hero Stocking Stuffers Month. Last week, we spoke with Gavin Gowron, the president of Doc Goodbeard, about his line of beard care products with visual demonstrations of beard shampoos, oils, and balms with our own Matt Jones. Next week, it's Greg Atkin, the owner of Strummin Comfort Pick System. If grasping and holding a guitar pick while playing becomes a challenge for you, check out the Comfort Pick System. We also have veteran Chris Parks, the owner of Smokin' Red, White, and Blue. He'll be stopping in with his salts and seasonings that you can apply to meats, vegetables, cheeses, cocktails, and I even hear ice cream. We have to give that a try. I tried some on some chicken last night. I got to tell you, definitely want to check that out. And it's all coming up in December. Matt, any closing thoughts?
I'd tell you, man. So you told me all about Tim Meegan Jr. and the episodes that we had, done before, and you said you were really excited for me to meet him. I'm so happy to meet you and know a little more about you, man. And I love what you're doing. It's inspiring stuff. I think that your music really does paint a picture that sometimes you want to create, some change in people's lives. You got to be willing to get down there in that foxhole and say, hey, man, come on, I know the way out. So I really appreciate what you're doing, man. God
Thank you
bless
very
you.
much. God bless you too. Thank you.
That's it for now, everyone. For Matt Jones and for Tim Meegan Jr., I'm Tom Lamog. We'll see you next time at the round table where Heroes Talk.